Before you go to site, it's also, well, I recommend that you take a look in the package to ensure that you receive all the accessories that you are supposed to do. The accessory list is found in the user manual. And so just ensure that you receive all these bits and pieces inside the package, which will allow you to successfully install the GoodWe inverter. So here we're showing you the ES and EM package. What we do supply is the inverter, the brackets, the smart meter. If it's an ES or an EM single phase inverter, the default smart meter is the GM1000. So that's the single phase version of the smart meter that we offer. However, if you're connecting an ES or an EM to a three-phase grid, then please advise your distributor, who will then advise us that you're connecting it to a three-phase grid. Then we will supply you with a GM3000, which is a three-phase smart meter that we also supply. In terms of the PV array connections, we do supply MC4 connectors for the connection into the DC inputs of the inverter, both positive and negative. And we also supply a battery cover. The Wi-Fi module is also supplied. The Bluetooth module is not available at the moment, but there is a plan over the next 6 to 8 months where we will supply you with the Bluetooth module to allow you to connect your phone via Bluetooth to the inverter, rather than connecting it to the inverter via the Wi-Fi module. So that's what you receive with the ES and the EM inverter. So that's a single phase hybrid inverter that we have in our portfolio, if you can remember from last week. And this is the packaging of the ET and BH and the BT inverter, which is the high voltage inverter, if you remember. So the high voltage inverters are connected to batteries which typically have voltages over 180 volts. The main difference between the packaging with the high voltage inverters and the low voltage inverters, such as the ES and EM, is that for the battery connection, we supply Phoenix contact Sunclicks connectors, both positive and negative. So this is what you'll use to connect onto the battery cables from the battery bank to the inverter itself. With the ES and EM, we supply battery terminals, which is then screwed onto the battery input of the inverter. So in the upcoming slides, I'll show you more details in regards to the battery connection. So that's mainly the main difference between the low voltage and the high voltage inverters. So with the high voltage battery inverters, we supply the DC connectors. So that's the Phoenix contact Sunclicks connectors. So in terms of inverter mounting, we do recommend that you avoid direct exposure to sunlight, rain, and snow. But I think in Europe, the general trend is that most inverters are installed indoors. So whether it be in the attic or in the garage or in the cellar, there's no real problems with the locations of the inverters in Europe. However, the inverters are IP65 rated. So if you do need to install them outdoors, it is also possible. Again, yeah, if you can keep them away from direct exposure, then that would be ideal. However, putting them on an east or a west facing wall is also okay. They'll only receive direct sunlight for a couple of hours in winter or in summer, sorry. So it's also not too critical. In terms of the inverter mounting, we do recommend that you install the inverter perpendicular to the horizontal, as you can see in the first image here. But we do, in case you do need to tilt it, a maximum of 15 degrees backwards is possible for our inverters. We do not recommend, or we do not allow that you installers tilting them forwards and also kind of rotated 90 at any angle to the left or to the right, clockwise or anti-clockwise. Also, inside our manuals, we do show you the minimum clearance distances. So please ensure that you keep to these distances when you're installing the inverter. If you're installing it in cool areas, like if your cellar is cool throughout the year, then you can get away with shorter or smaller clearance distances to objects. However, if you're installing them in areas which do get hot throughout the year, then I would try to keep to these minimum distances or make them even a bit larger. So the clearance distances are there to allow the heat to dissipate effectively from the inverter so that it will stop itself from derating. If you're not sure, then just contact our technical service department and they can give you some guidelines on that. In terms of the mounting of the bracket, there's nothing new here. All inverters in the market are all the same. We supply them with a mounting bracket. Yeah, just ensure that you drill the correct holes and use the expansion pipes or the expansion plugs that we supply with the inverter, and then mount and secure them onto the wall.